Hello. Hi, Chris. How
Hello. Happy winter.
It is winter, except it's been so cold in New England. It was so cold in Boston, but I think it's like 45 degrees outside today. So, yeah.
Yeah, we're melting too. It's sad.
Chris, I know people can't see, but do you want to show everyone your festive sweater? I know we're talking about the difficult year we had. I was joking. I'm also dressed festively, but like New Year's festively, not like Christmas festively. So I look like I'm going to a nightclub, and it looks like you're going to a Christmas party.
I've got my Mary Twitmas shirt, the This Week in Tech Miss. It's a few years old now.
Love it. If everyone who's joining us right now could add your name or what city and state you're from, anything you want to share, and then what was the highlight of your 2025? I know the theme today is talking about. I know the theme today is talking about what a difficult year we had, but there's always room to celebrate. So tell us something that you are celebrating, a highlight of your 2025.
Yeah, let's hope we get a few comments here. I think people might be joining a little bit later, watching later this time more than others because we didn't give as much warning before we let everyone know about it. But
Okay.
You know what? I want to tell you this. This is a little intro into a little window into my life. The thing that I love about this time of year is like I love Christmas trees, and I usually go with my mom to like a lot, and not a lot, but actually like to a place where you can like chop it down and we put it up. And last year, Michelle and I came to a realization that the thing we love more than Christmas trees, which we love a lot, is not having a migraine every day because I'm super allergic. And it took me like 20 years to figure out that my spate of like December and early January migraines that was happening year after year was caused by the Christmas tree that we're putting in our house. This year I feel great. And so we got a fake tree. And yeah, so I'm not.
So it took us forever. Like, there are no allergies over here. I love the smell of real Christmas trees. I love Christmas trees, but also like I hate the mess that they make. So a few years back, we were like, no more real Christmas trees. I'm sick of cleaning up pine needles in June. So yeah, we switched to fake Christmas trees, and I think they're still so beautiful, and you get so much joy out of them still. So yeah, a lot of people knock them. I'm an advocate for the faux tree.
Yep. Okay. I wanted to just quickly note that with the Institute for Local Self-Reliance, the Institute for Local Self-Reliance takes no position on Christmas trees. We're although they should be local, that's definitely that's our position on them, and we are excited to be doing this event with the National Digital Inclusion Alliance, as well as all of you folks who are joining us over the videos over the internets. This is an event, the Building for Digital Equity series, which is about equal parts inspiration, education, and a variety of other things to bring the community together of people who are working to make sure that everyone can take advantage of modern technology. We are doing an event, and this one, we do this event quarterly, but this one's going to be 60 minutes. We're packing it in pretty tight. We recommend watching it live on YouTube. You'll be able to watch it later there as well. We are sponsored by Utopia Fiber, which is the nation's largest open access fiber network. Utopia Fiber is a real inspiration to the community networking movement, people that are focused on making sure the network is serving neighbors and not distant shareholders. And then on top of that, Utopia Fiber, with it being open access, is not just locally owned. They've allowed a lot of local companies, service providers, to get access to hundreds of thousands of people in Utah, as well as now increasingly in some other states like Idaho, Montana, and maybe in the future, California. So thank you, Utopia Fiber, for your support and leadership in this time. Gina, did you want to introduce yourself?
I would love to. Hi, everyone. My name is Gina Cooper Benjamin. I'm the Deputy Director of the National Digital Inclusion Alliance, or NDIA. At NDIA, we advance digital equity by supporting community programs and equipping policymakers to act. We do this by bringing our community of over 2,000 affiliates together for learning, education, fun, and fellowship. We have lively conversations on our listserv, our community calls, at our annual conference on inclusion, which I'll get to in a minute. And we take what we learn from everyone, from each other, and we create tools and resources. They're available, but nothing's behind a paywall. They're available through our webpage, our website, digitalinclusion.org. And then we also share what we learn with policymakers to help them inform decision making. So that's NDIA. We talk a lot about technology, access, and affordability. We believe everyone should be able to safely navigate the digital world in the way that's most meaningful for them. Right now, we're preparing for all that 2026 has in store for us, including the wonderful net inclusion in Chicago.
Going to Chicago. I'm driving. I don't want to ride.
Are you really driving? Are you driving by yourself?
No, it's 6 hours and from Minneapolis, St. Paul. So I would much rather have my fate in my own hands than being in the airplane. I don't mind flying, but like I don't have to go to the airport. I don't have to go through security. I could drive. I could take my time. I could stop at that classic Wisconsin stop, the fast food restaurant. I can't remember what it's called now. This is embarrassing. I bring it up, and then at Culver's, I'll be able to go to Culver's. So it's a great time. I love driving. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Chris. And so actually a group of NDIA team members are also driving from Columbus, Ohio. And I just can't wait to hear about how that road trip went. It's gonna be so far for them. I am actually a little jealous that I'm missing out on it. You too can road trip to Net Inclusion. Net Inclusion has been a staple in digital inclusion community since 2016, a very long time. We get together to share knowledge and discuss local, state, tribal, and federal policies impacting digital equity, digital inclusion best practices from across the country, AI and emerging technology. In fact, right now I'm trying to work out if we can get some prominent Black women from Illinois to lead up birds of a feather around quantum computing, funding for sustainability, digital inclusion programming, serving diverse populations, connectivity, access, adoption, affordability, devices, skills, you name it, we got it. We offer safe, trusting spaces and opportunities to network, to gather, to learn, and to share. We'll be in Chicago, February 3rd through 5th. Yes, it will be cold, so you will either need to bring your winter coat or purchase one, but we will keep it warm and fuzzy and fun for y'all. So Chicago special to us. We supported another digital inclusion convening in Chicago last year. We love the ecosystem there, all of the community members there, the dedication, the commitment, the support, the opportunity that you all bring. And then I was hanging out in Chicago this summer, and we did a little bit of the river walk. Some of the city and county team members, they took me to the Harold Washington Library. Chris, if you have a chance, you should definitely go. They have an amazing makerspace and something called the Winter Garden on the top level. That is phenomenal. So we have some special guests lined up, not the Obamas, but if you know the Obamas, happy to share my email address to get them there. So buy your tickets before the end of the year. Late registration starts January 9th and prices will increase then.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. We're going to be doing a live building for digital equity while we're there. So That's going to be something to see as well. Okay,
Chris, what do we have up next?
So Jordan and Sean from my team, from the Institute for Local Self-Reliance, they spent a little bit of time and inspired by Spotify Wrapped, or also I listened to my app for podcasts, which is also not coming to me right now. It's the end of the year. It's a rough time of year, I guess, from memories. But it does the Wrapped. It gives you the summary of the year. I listened to almost 3,000 podcasts, and by now I've surpassed that 3,000 podcast episodes, because I'm a little bit of a problem. There's a little bit of an addiction there, as well as a bunch of audiobooks. But so you can get that stuff wrapped. It's statistics on the year, and Jordan and Sean wrapped 2025 in internet access. So the first item that we have that we're looking at was in 2025. Consumer Reports looked at the top internet service providers in the country. Consumer Reports looked at their satisfaction scores overall. These range from the top Greenlight Networks, which is 95, operates primarily in upstate New York. And in partnership with a number of local governments, and also on using public fiber in some cases, but it's a privately owned network. The number 2 network was Chattanooga. Chattanooga goes by EPB because it's owned by the Electric Power Board of the city of Chattanooga. Number 3 was Allo Fiber in Nebraska. Allo has a great partnership with Lincoln in Nebraska, and they were able to supercharge their deployment with conduit from the city of Lincoln, and have gone on to make partnerships in a number of other cities in the West. Wonderful provider. Google Fiber, which has done its own thing in a number of places, but also has municipal partnerships with multiple communities, including Huntsville, Alabama, and West Des Moines in Iowa. And also, I'll just say, like, in your communities, Google Fiber is still open to public partnerships. And so it's a good solution for cities where they don't want to necessarily do their own thing. But they came in very high at a customer satisfaction score of 86. And then finally GoNetspeed, who I don't recall, but I'm going a little bit long anyway. If you go through this, it goes all the way down to a satisfaction score of like 10 or 18 or something like that, or very low. That was where you have your big satellite companies. Interestingly, I'll just give some credit to Starlink, which I often try to be realistic about, but Starlink came in high in terms of satisfaction, much higher than the traditional cable and telephone companies. So you can check out that list if you just do a little search on the internet. But our next item is not about the internet services. It's about the providers. It is about the number of devices. According to some people that did research, the average number of internet connected devices per household in the United States is 26, higher than I would have thought. I think it beats my home, although I don't know whether to count dead laptops that I have not yet given to PCs for people, whether or not those count or not. But the average household, 26 connected devices. That's pretty remarkable. The next one is what do people use the internet for? And I'll just say that we might talk about this a little bit later. Jordan and I just spent the weekend, last weekend, in Texas, in South Texas and San Antonio with some middle schoolers and then some high schoolers down in a colonia near Far on the border with Mexico. And we asked people how they use the internet. Well, according to this survey on Statista, I don't know. I have to ask Christine later. Finding information is like 2 out of 3 people use it to find information in terms of how they use the internet. They use it to watch videos, TV shows, or movies, researching how to do things. Very common with prompting AI at this point. Managing study-related purposes, probably a little bit of AI in there too. Managing finances and savings, researching health issues, and gaming. But here's the thing. They missed the number one reason people use it when we talk to people about it. Whether you're a young person or whether you're an elder, you use it to talk to people. You use it to communicate. When the people say they're gaming, they're often gaming with other people. They use the internet. I think people don't think about the internet for texting and phone calls, but that's how we use it. We use it to connect with other people. So the last one is something that Gina wanted to take over. Go for it.
Oh, yes. We want to give a special shout out to coalitions. This year, NDIA heard from 87 coalitions in our coalition survey, the results of which are presented in our interactive status of digital inclusion story map. The map includes spotlights on 11 innovative coalitions, interactive maps and data visualizations, and 2 embedded resource repositories with examples of coalition organizing documents and digital equity plans embedded. Coalitions are the heartbeat. Digital inclusion coalitions are the heartbeat of much of the local digital inclusion work. There are some regional and state coalitions, but always want to give a shout out to all the work that they do, that all the work that all the members of coalitions do.
Wonderful. So we're going to be moving on. I'll just note that a great place to ask questions is in the YouTube chat. You can also ask questions elsewhere, but no guarantee that we'll see them. we'll do our best. But the YouTube chat is a great place to interact. And then finally, tomorrow is our year roundup of Connect This, in which we'll go over the predictions we made about 11 months ago, see how we did, and talk about this year. If you want to check that out, an easy place to do that is communitynetworks.org, our website for the Community Broadband Networks Initiative at the Institute for Local Self-Reliance. Communitynetworks.org, scroll down a little bit, you'll see how to watch Connect This. So Gina, what are we doing first?
Okay, now we're going to get into the program. Our first guest is a multi-hyphenate, Kyla Williams-Tate. Earlier this year in May at Net Inclusion in Gila River, Kyla was recognized by NDIA as a digital equity champion, and in October was awarded the Literacy Leader Award by Scale It for her dedication to digital literacy. When not busy being recognized for her amazing work, she leads the collaborative community as its founder. The collaborative community is where creativity connects, inclusion inspires, and art unites. Kyla, we're excited to have you here for the final B4DE of the year.
Hello, hello, hello. It's good to be back. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate that.
You're always
back by popular demand.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So we've gone through a lot this year, right? It's tested a lot of our belief systems and challenged some of our value systems. There's been just a lot of change, a lot of loss. And so we are not going to ignore what was lost. I think we all are holding space for those people and those programs and those policies that maybe didn't go the way that we intended at the top of the year. But I think we also must force ourselves, sometimes gently, to acknowledge what wasn't lost, because there was some good things still happening. And since everything right now seems to be about AI and the machines, I want to talk about a different kind of intelligence, one that carries us through these years and many years and is unmistakably human. So I have curated a poem today that I am calling AI Literacy. They keep saying AI as if it's something new, something distant, something built without us. But we have always known AI by other names. AI is alliances imagined. When no roadmap existed, only need, only trust, only the decision to work together anyway. AI is access insisted, not delayed, not diluted, not explained away, but named as essential. AI is advocacy intact when momentum falters and commitment becomes the measure of what is real. AI is adaptation informed, learning quickly, listening closely, changing shape without losing purpose. AI is accountability internal, the quiet discipline of remembering who this work is for, even when no one is watching. AI is alliances innovating, not for novelty, but for continuity, for dignity, for reach. This year stripped away assumptions and timelines and certainty, and still AI became anchoring integrity, a way of standing when the scaffolding disappeared. AI is action iterative, imperfect, unfinished, moving forward anyway. AI is access inclusive, not accidental, not optional, not seasonal, because what remains is the knowing. And AI is awareness internalized, the kind that lives in the body, the kind that does not need permission to persist. So as the year turns and the future is spoken about as if it belongs elsewhere, we remember that AI has always lived here, in relationship, in resolved, and inside of us. That's that piece.
I love it.
How do you do that? Like every time you come here, you are like want to cry. Okay. Wow. I think the thing that you said, accountability internal, who this work is for, and even when no one is watching. That's the thing that sits with me. Yeah.
You know, I don't want to pretend like I didn't do my homework, but that's what I said too. Like the accountability that always strikes me. I mean, it's so important today, and especially especially when I feel like AI, there's this question about how it was trained and then about how people are using it. And I just feel like that word accountability is one that we've been needing to focus on. A lot of people have been left behind.
Absolutely. And digital literacy is AI literacy, it's data literacy, starts with general literacy. All the literacies is what I call it. So as we are endeavoring to ensure that we are prepared to address some of the challenges and the benefits that AI brings to our work, we have to start with literacy, ensuring that we have good comprehension, we understand how to communicate well with each other. So we need to ensure that we include that in our strategies as we're moving our digital equity, digital inclusion, digital opportunity, digital growth, whatever you're calling yourself these days. As we move that forward, please ensure that it's centered with the literacy spirit.
Yeah, then I think just one other piece of it, just the fact that this is not new. Like, it is new in some ways, but also I could spend the rest of the show sort of musing about history and stuff like that. But one of the things that we have to deal with is that this is allowing a concentration of power, and that is the oldest thing, right?
Indeed. And agreed 100%. Thank you again for inviting me. And I can't wait to listen to and watch the rest of the show.
Well, Kyla, before you go, do you want to tell people about, you do have something planned for net inclusion in Chicago?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Thank you for the reminder. So I have a session that will be hosted at Net Inclusion. It's called The Voices of Digital Inclusion. It's a showcase of words, art, and music. So if you are attending Net Inclusion and you have a story to share a song to sing, an instrument that you play, some textile that you're good at, something that you do as part of your everyday, or something that you just do as a hobby, we welcome you to join our stage at Net Inclusion for that session and share. It doesn't have to be about digital equity and digital inclusion. It could be whatever your heart's desire that you would like to share with that greater audience. So if you are interested in sharing during Voices of Digital Inclusion, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll also put a link in the chat for you to be able to fill out an interest form.
Thank you,
That's wonderful. And one of the things that we desperately need to learn from history is art and being creative that moves us forward.
Yes.
Indeed. It's the documentation of the times.
Yes.
Thank you, Kyla.
Thank you.
We have next, we're going to talk a little bit about a year in review from a state that was very active. And I'm excited to welcome Lindsay Skolnick on from the California Alliance for Digital Equity. Lindsay's been involved in these fights for a long time, is very strategic, and can tell us about what we've seen in California, what we can learn from and build on for next year.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Gina, for having me on. Really excited to be here and talk a little bit about all that CADE has been up to this year. And just to walk it back really quickly for folks who are unfamiliar with the work that we do, the California Alliance for Digital Equity is a group of local and statewide advocates focused on advancing all forms of digital equity, whether that be device acquisition, broadband access, digital literacy. We were established back in 2022, and our initial and urgent goal was to elevate community voices, advocating in support of key pieces of digital equity legislation. Came head to head with really intense industry pushback, ultimately at the onset of our being established, which then made us realize, hey, we need to have a seat at the table here. We need to make sure we expand and grow our advocacy efforts, which is what we're trying to do now. And ultimately this year, one of our primary focuses was, as you mentioned, Chris, broadband affordability. We've recognized this issue as a really critical thing to address here in California. We know families without broadband subscriptions cite affordability as the primary reason. And we also know that a lot of ISPs, while their service offerings remain the same, broadband prices continue to go up in California, which is especially true in low-income communities and communities of color. So at the start of this year, we were really excited to see Assemblymember Tasha Burner, the chair of the Assembly Communications and Conveyance Committee, introduce AB 353. The bill required internet service providers to offer a $15 a month, 120 Mbps internet plan option to all qualified low-income Californians. We saw this as a really exciting and important first step to, ultimately bringing folks what they need, fast, affordable, and reliable internet connection. And so we decided to initially support that bill in concept, kind of right when it was introduced. And it came at a really critical time for California. I mean, ultimately, at the start of this year, the broadband, or not even just the broadband, but the affordability crisis was at the forefront of everyone's minds. Everything, basic necessities were all too expensive up and down the state. And broadband was no exception. We knew that on average, folks were spending $95 a month on their internet bills, which is insane. And so we were really hoping to, make sure that folks had a opportunity to get reduced prices if they were able to qualify for this plan under Assemblymember Burner's bill. It also came at a time where ultimately roughly 3 million Californians had just lost federal support through ACP. And importantly, New York's broadband affordability law had just passed, which was really exciting for us because we thought, hey, why don't we follow New York's lead and incorporate some lessons learned from their implementation of their similar policy in this bill. So really tried to work at the onset with the bill author on, as I mentioned, implementing some of those lessons learned, finding ways to make sure that this bill was tailored to the unique needs and interests of California residents. But unfortunately, mid-session, that bill author accepted amendments from industry that, in our eyes, gutted key elements of the bill. Some of those elements, I think one of the key ones that was difficult for us to digest was the bill reduced the speeds from 120 to 5010 for those low-cost plans, which is ultimately half the federal standard, right? And so that was a big concern of ours. Another key piece was ultimately the bill didn't really have, it made enrollment and verification the responsibility of the providers, which was similar to what New York had as well. And we were hearing from folks in New York that was a difficult process as it was in place there. So we're really trying to adjust things so that there were stronger oversight, consumer protections, and avenues for redress for abuses of consumers within our bill, or the AB 353 ultimately here in California. But shortly after we pulled our support, the bill was held in committee, became inactive, died. Technically, because we're entering year two of a 2-year session in California, the bill could come back, but I do not anticipate that's going to be the case. I just think that ultimately there's not the appetite right now to bring 353 back in a similar form. But what I will say is we, don't have our eyes off the prize when it comes to broadband affordability. This is something that we're continuing to focus on, thinking through it more so as a long-term effort here in California. And there was a lot that we learned, from this ultimately. Success as we know it is not always a straight line. Ultimately, there's going to be some ups and downs when you're up against a powerful industry. And so we're in it for the long haul. And the other thing I'll mention is just, I think it's good for other lesson we really learned is just, it's good to continue to stay nimble on these things and make sure that you hold firm on your kind of lines that are really important to you when it comes to these policies, which is something that Cade did with 353. So I know that was a lot of information to throw at you all. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, Chris and Gina, and talk through what's next for us.
I think, just very briefly, it must have been difficult to try to decide whether to oppose your own bill, knowing that some number of people would get a benefit out of an internet access speed that we all believe is too slow to really serve people and serve entire households, those 26 connected devices on average. But just, a little bit about like how you decided whether or not to take the half loaf.
Yeah, so I think when it came to how that speed threshold was reduced for us, that was just a hard line where ultimately we thought that if this was going to be a bill that had kind of a long-term impact on the residents that we were trying to support with affordability, it needed to meet those speeds. We know that that's what folks need in their homes to just be able to meet basic needs online. And that is, demand for those types of services online when you're on video chat, when you're doing, anything related to school homework, things like that. And there might have multiple folks on multiple devices in your household. Like those speeds are critical. So that was just a kind of a line that we needed to hold there. And we were concerned that ultimately, if we whittled it down and supported a 50-10 bill, it would maybe lock folks into kind of what would be considered second-class connectivity, where other folks are getting those speeds and they are not. So yeah, that was something that as I mentioned, I think it was important that we stayed relatively nimble on that piece, just to make sure that we're doing what's right for community.
Gina, did you have any questions?
Well, I'm very interested in the work you've done in California, Lindsay. And for other people who might be listening, other states who can learn some lessons here, who are Alliance members and why are their voices critical to this process you've embarked on?
Yeah, thanks for elevating that, Gina. So we have a lot of incredible partners that are a part of CADE. Some of the key folks include Next Gen Policy, the California Community Foundation, Oakland Undivided, the Michelson Foundation, or Michelson Center for Public Policy to be specific, and a number of others. The Fresno Coalition for Digital Inclusion. We have folks in the Bay Area, the Central Valley, down in LA, and all of which kind of come together as our key collaborators and strategists when it comes to building our advocacy priorities. And I would say that's made us so much stronger because we've been able to really represent a lot of the interests of various regions up and down the state. And, we're continuing to grow. I think originally back in 2022, we had 6 partners, now are upwards of 20 folks. So yeah, really proud of the work we've been able to accomplish all together.
Awesome. Thank you, Lindsay.
Yes. Thank you, Lindsay. We're going to kick you off.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Gina, for having me.
Thanks for the great work. California is really a leader. And one of the things that I think we're all thankful for is that California didn't set a precedent that states should just take some half effort, second class kind of connection and call it good enough for the millions of people who have been left behind. I think that's important. And so I salute them in what was, I'm sure, a hard decision. Gina?
I agree. I'm happy they did that. Okay, what do we have up next, Chris?
Maybe we could freelance with some legends. I don't know.
Okay,
just an idea.
Did the legends join?
They're here. Oh yeah, we're all set. They're ready to go. They don't know why they're not out here right now.
Legends, join us on stage. We have a lot of legends, and Angela's wearing her nerd cap. Okay.
I want you to turn the heat on in there. I don't know. Gigi, you got any heat you can share with them?
It's cold. Can you hear me, by the way?
Yes.
Yes. Hi, Gigi. Hi, Wanda. Hi, Angela. How are you?
Hi, everyone.
How are you doing? Hi, ladies.
How
Hi.
exciting. I'm in Cleveland at Ashbury Senior Computer Community Center. I might have gotten 2 of those words mixed around. We have the New York Times here, reporter and photographer working on a story. So watch New York Times early January. And so I stole Wanda for a couple minutes to join us.
Yeah. Hi, everybody.
Wonderful.
Good to see you. Gina, Gigi, and Chris, good to see you all.
Yes, thank you. And do you want to just tell the brief story? I know if you go to Net Inclusion, one has had a really good chance of hearing Wanda tell it from the stage in the main room. But Wanda, you just want to remind us who you are?
Yeah, I'm Wanda Davis, the executive director, Ashbury Senior Computer Community Center for 23 plus years now. Moving on.
Wonderful. And then next to you is Angela, who people probably recognize as being the head of the National Digital Inclusion Alliance and the whisperer in DC on the needs for digital equity.
I kind of feel like I'm whispering into the wind these days, but thanks, Chris.
Well, then I just wanted to throw out there because I know that Gigi can take a little joking, but Gigi's the shouter, in
Yes.
DC on these issues. Welcome, Gigi.
We love that Gigi shouts.
Yes.
Somebody's got to, right?
That's right.
So let's start off with just talking about the year. So what do you reflect on here in December? Let me start with you, Angela and Wanda, and just ask you if there's any things that you'd like to remind people, things that happened. What's on your mind right now as you think back to the past 11 and a half months?
I just yesterday wrote the letter that goes in our impact report for the past 2 years. And it's along the lines of lots, the expletives that I can't say, but you have to use other words of this crazy year that we've been through. But that the work moves forward, right? Wanda's still teaching classes. There's 12 people next door learning how to use technology. Everything is still happening. And the NDIA team is still doing all of our work. ILSR is Ashbury. Right, nobody's just sitting around crying in their beer or crying in their coffee, even though that is sometimes feels very appealing. That's not what people are doing, because it's a community full of action-oriented folks.
True, yeah. And I ditto that, the year has been, since the news of that we won't have the digital equity funding that we were looking for. So we had to, just, scale down to what we thought our expansion would have been this year. We thought we would have at least another permanent site on the other side of town, but we had to put a lot of that on hold and just concentrate on maintaining what we've been doing, which we've been able to do. So we're continuing to train and continue to teach people and deliver our services wherever we can.
Well, it seems like you've fixed Angela's problem from last year. For people who remember the screen that kept rotating and Angela kept coming in sideways, it's working well now. So I assume
Turns
the
out I
training
just
helped.
needed to be in Cleveland this whole time. Who'd have thought?
Gigi, what do you reflect on right now over the course of the year?
So it's funny, I just got off a call where I was giving a presentation about the year in review. And the first slide was a picture of Charlie Brown trying to kick the football and Lucy pulling it away.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what the year was about. It was, about seeing the BEAD and digital equity money like there for the taking and it not being there. Yeah. Right. I mean, and again, I fault, frankly, both administrations. I am bipartisan in my critique. I believe that the Biden administration was too nitpicky. It should have gotten the money in the bank before they left. There's no excuse for it. And then, of course, the Trump administration continues to tinker with BEAD. Well, first of all, obviously they refuse to give out the digital equity money, which is illegal. And I give Angela all the credit in the world for bringing that lawsuit. The lawyers committee did a fabulous job with you 100%. But you had the restructuring notice, you had the best and final offer, which was like this secret thing. Now you've got this AI executive order, which says, if you've got an onerous, whatever that means, AI law, you don't get your BEAD money. It's like every other month there's like this, Lucy's pulling the football away, or you're moving the goalpost, for another football metaphor. So that to me is the encapsulation of this year, is that so much promise that is, even if the money comes out, even if Angela finally gets her money, even if the non-deployment money comes out, the promise of the bipartisan infrastructure bill, the broadband provisions, will not be fulfilled. We will still have large swaths of this country that don't have affordable, robust broadband, and that is a damn shame.
It means our work is continuing for years and years to come. Like, we thought this was going to be the big moment where we get this. We knew it was going to take a while, but we could make big gains, right? We could build these ecosystems of digital inclusion practitioners and those that are working on making sure everyone has affordable access and has devices and has the digital skills training. And now it's going to just take even longer.
That I think that leads us, and Gigi kind of opened the door. Angela, you added a little color. So let's get into it. The Digital Equity Act, that hit our community really, really hard. And I just heard from you, Wanda, you said that you're not able to expand in the way you thought you were going to expand. And this is what people are feeling all over the country. So let's put some reality around that. What are you guys seeing, and what have we lost specifically as a result of people like the Digital Equity Act not happening right now.
I think we can talk about it in terms of the individual people themselves, like the people that are next door in that class, the folks who are not able to get to a class because that class doesn't exist. So the people that are going to be scammed, who are not going to talk to their doctors, who are not going to be able to take those classes online, who aren't going to find that next job. Like, we have to talk about it at that level. And then we have to talk about the whole country moving forward and the fact that we don't have these strong ecosystems that we thought we were about to create, because it's the ecosystems that will keep the work moving forward after the federal money is spent. So we didn't get to build those ecosystems, and the individual people that were to be helped with that particular money aren't getting to do what they need to do just to survive today.
Yeah, I agree with Angela. You know, the anticipation of those funds across the nation, especially right here locally in Cleveland, gave the opportunity for other practitioners that do what I do to expand across the city of Cleveland throughout the county. Well, of course, those funds not coming, and the coalition that was built, we all had to wind up cutting individuals, cutting jobs. And there were folks poised to start work in January that could not start. So it was devastating. It's a devastating loss. We will feel it for years to come, especially if we do not get that money back. ASC3 in itself, as a small practitioner in this field, we had the anticipation of expanding to 2 other permanent sites that will reach the other side of the street where we practice at. That won't happen. Will not happen now unless things change. So, like you say, we're still spinning the wheel and still maintaining, but the other folks that we were trying to reach are still not being reached.
Gigi, and Digital Equity Act thoughts without any expletives?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if Angela, if you got the speech that I gave at Net Inclusion in February, which of course it was a fabulous event. I loved it. I even loved being in Arizona when it was broiling hot. It was May, excuse me. But I mean, it's just illegal, pure and simple. I mean, unfortunately, you know, this administration has flouted the separation of powers time and again. But, you know, I agree. Obviously, nobody knows better than Angela and Wanda the devastating effect that it has on the communities that they work with every single day. And it's just, you know, it's mind-boggling that we are in 2026 almost, and we still have wide swaths of the United States that don't have a critical, necessary communications network available to them for, you know, for either accessibility reasons or more commonly for affordability reasons. It's inexcusable. And I watched the oversight hearing, the FCC oversight hearing today, which was mostly a yawner, except for the fact that Brendan Carr said that the FCC was not an independent agency. And even though it said so on its website, they changed it soon after that question. Like, wow, I feel like I'm in 1984 right now, you know? And there was so little conversation about getting broadband to everybody. I mean, there was so little, given that it was a 2.5 hour oversight hearing. It just was really, really remarkable. And the FCC should be ashamed of itself, and the country should be ashamed of itself that we are allowing this to happen. And I don't have the answer. I do think, ironically, what has happened to BEAD and the Digital Equity Act may be good for community broadband, which is something obviously, you know, we all support very much. But I don't think it's worth a candle. I mean, I'm very unhappy with what has resulted. If it leads to more community broadband, great, but it's still a $42.5 billion. That's just for deployment, and then another $3 billion for digital equity. To lose that money or to see that money wasted on inferior technologies, expensive technologies, is just it's shameful. I have nothing more to say about it other than say it is shameful, and it's not going to happen again in our lifetimes. So we got to figure out, you know, once and for all, how do we, maybe it's not a government program that closes a digital divide, but I don't know what it is right now. I don't have the answer.
I do think we've been set back, and I think with our closing comments with this group, would like to I'd like to note that, like, we're not the darlings anymore, right? In 2020, 2021, people thought what we were doing was super important. They wanted to invest in it. They wanted to make it happen. And now we're not a top priority for the people in power. And frankly, for the people that, that otherwise would have been in power if the Democrats had won. We're a priority in some ways, but not a top priority, I don't think, by any stretch of the imagination. And I feel like we need to focus not just on doing our work quietly with our heads down, but actually figuring out strategic ways to elevate the importance of this and get it done. So Gigi, let me go to you first, and then we'll finish up with Angela and Wanda. How do you react to that in terms of what we need to do next?
Well, I wish I had the answer. Yes. I mean, I think making this a priority, figuring out how to make this a priority among policymakers, and again, it really should be bipartisan, right?
Yep.
The areas that are being most affected by I don't call it the destruction of the BEAD program, but the major changes of the BEAD program happen to be mostly, states that are controlled by Republicans. So whatever we do, whatever message we raise, we can't just go to our ideological partners. We have to work across the aisle on a bipartisan basis. And I have to say, I am glad a letter came out yesterday from, I think it was a dozen or so bipartisan senators on the BEAD non-deployment money, saying to Ariel Roth, the administrator of NTIA, this money belongs to the states. Give us this money. So if we can have more of that, then I think we can find some solutions. But as long as this somehow remains partisan, then I think it's very, very hard to move the ball.
Angela and Wanda?
So part of the solution for us is what we're doing today with the New York Times. So first, the New York Times went to Defiance, Ohio, so rural area of Ohio, and spent 2 full days there talking to farmers and Republican commissioners and the Northwest Ohio Community Action Commission that has a very robust digital navigator program that NDIA has been partnering with. So the article will have both the amazing work happening here with Wanda and the work that's happening out in rural Ohio. I think that's a really big piece of it, that awareness of the work, because the work isn't stopping. It's still and those are the heroes, right? They're doing this in local communities with very little financial resources. But then also, just as Gigi said, we have to look at what some other solutions are. So figuring out who are the other funders, how do we increase the awareness within the philanthropy community? We can't only rely upon government. Government does need to step up because this is a big issue for the whole country. But while we work on that, we can also work on other sources of support, such as corporate and philanthropy.
Yeah. And I totally agree with what Angela has just said. And locally, for us that are practitioners in this arena, we have to just continue to meet as total greater Cleveland Digital Equity Coalition group. Hopefully let that continue to catch on, and those groups will become more voiceful. And then, of course, to host forums, like we did in October with Digital Inclusion Week, where we let the people speak. And then I think that's going to be a very, very, very beneficial for us to keep going.
I mean, perhaps we will have another kids, surfing the web, doing their homework in front of Taco Bell moment. Because that was a moment, right?
That was a moment.
And that's where I think your guys' work is so important, because you know where the kids are sitting in front of Taco Bell. So, real stories, real storytelling about how people are suffering, just like we're hearing now about how people are suffering because they can't afford food, or they can't afford their rent, but they can't afford to be connected. They can't afford to see their doctor. They can't afford to do their homework. I mean, that kind of moment, if we can create that kind of moment, we don't have to create it. It exists. It exists. But, again, Chris, I know you want to end this, but just real quick, not only do we need to educate philanthropy, the press has been terrible on these issues. I mean, you try to get any kind of, thank God for New York Times cares.
Yes.
Because it's been really, really hard to get anybody but the trade press to write about this stuff.
Yep.
Yep, and I don't want to end it. Time wants to end it, so we're gonna have to go with that. And not Time the magazine; they've had some good coverage here and there, but I want to thank Angela and want to thank you for your time today. Thank you for the work that you do in moving this issue forward.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks. Good to see you.
Take care, and thank you, Gigi. Love your leadership on this.
My pleasure. Thanks so much, and as yours as well. Take care.
Gina, I'm going to say something. I don't want to take their time away to just do a short little rant about this, but like what drives me crazy about this is if you take the Trump administration at their word for why they are doing this, why they are slashing the Digital Equity Act. One reason is because they say that it's DEI and it's unconstitutional because we're somehow privileging one race over another race. That's transparently false. As we've noted before, like tons of white people are getting benefits from this. Every race benefits from this. Every race is a member of the armed forces. Every race is a veteran, or has been a veterans. This is rural people are all shapes and colors. Recent immigrants are from a variety of places. It drives me crazy to hear that. And but they say they have to do it because they have to save money, right? And like if I stop buying video games, I save that money, right? And like there's no real harm. In fact, I actually get a little bit of time back in my life too. The federal government stops spending this $2.5 billion. What happens is the expenditures that we have on Medicare, Medicaid, transportation systems, on 100 different government programs all go up. And so we stop spending $2.5 billion on the one hand. And on the other hand, we start spending a heck of a lot more over the next several years. And so over the course of 10 years, we're losing tens of billions of dollars by not making sure everyone can take advantage of digital tools because of the impact on healthcare, the impact on education, the lost productivity. It just drives me crazy when anyone claims that there's economics that would support cutting these expenditures.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Chris. I am biting my tongue. I know that there are, as a reminder, NDIA is doing, in the middle of something, and I don't want to say the wrong things, but
you disagree with me. You just can't say it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing you.
No, I think that I would like to reflect on one of the points you just brought up about the intersection of digital equity and some of these other areas too. So I can talk about that, right? We think about digital equity as like this standalone thing, which we can think about it that way. But also when we think about healthcare, when we think about economic development, when we think about workforce development, when we think about education, all of those things, the digital world is a part of all of that. And so I think like a part of this is recognizing that too, and like connecting those dots a lot more than I think sometimes they are connected. So I just wanted to uplift that a bit, because I do think even when we talk about housing and hunger, like where are people going for resources nowadays? Yes, there are in-person things happening, but a lot of that stuff directs you to online. So without the internet, without the devices, without the skills to get people there, we're all a little bit stuck in going to continue that divide that we talk about, minimizing or shortening, or some people say closing. I don't use that word, but it just it either stays the same or gets bigger. There's no evolution there if we don't address all of those things too. So, yeah.
I just want people to know that I'm not flushed because I'm this passionate. Is because it's actually just legitimately warm in here, and I'm wearing a Christmas sweater. It's killing me a little bit. So, we have some tools to share.
What'd you say?
We have some tools to share. I think you're going to introduce them.
I am. So, but I think I'm bringing along some other guests with us right now. If we can put them up on the stage. Oh, look at that. It's like an NDIA directors meeting, and Chris, you're a special guest.
Well, I was just gonna say, Aaron started coloring his hair the same color I use on my beard, I noticed.
Hi, everyone.
And welcome, Christy. I know you're not able to be on camera, but thanks for joining us as well.
To wrap this up, we kind of wanted to share some gifts with the attendees, with the audience participating today. And those gifts are tools and resources that, ILSR and NDIA have worked on all year. And I'll start with Aaron. Aaron, how you doing?
Good. Yeah, Chris, maybe that's an indicator of how the year's gone. Real quick, I just wanted to say, like, you all have recreated the classic TV holiday special so well. Like, you have all your best friends dropping by to say hi. You just need to, like, break into song casually in between segments, and we'd have it, like, dead on. I'm going to share quickly the digital inclusion impact aggregator tool that we developed. And that has been a big part of 2025 for a lot of the NDIA team. We finally were able to share this tool at the Federal Reserve's Research Forum in the fall. But it's work that we've been doing for quite a while. Working closely with a set of pilot states, we've developed a set of tools to kind of measure the entire digital equity ecosystem, however you define that. Angela talked about the importance of ecosystems earlier, and one of the ways that we think that we can help support and make the case and build awareness for the work that's happening is by helping people measure it. And so that's what this set of tools is. We'll share here a link to find all of those resources on our website. But I just really wanted to note quickly, we built this tool initially because states were thinking about how they would measure the impact of their investments through the DEA capacity grant program. We all know they're not doing that now. And we could get frustrated. But I have had the opportunity to share this tool with a bunch of our affiliates and partners over the past couple of months, and it's been really heartening. So I've been able to talk to coalitions. I've had multiple coalitions reach out and ask, how can we collectively measure our work as a coalition in our community or the state we serve? I've talked with a statewide association of community action agencies who's interested in the community action agencies all the way across their state. How do they measure the digital equity work that they're doing? We've talked to funders about how they measure their grantees' work across all of their funded organizations. And so we're seeing a lot of folks see the value of this kind of voluntary data collection, collective data collection in a way that is really encouraging and really heartening. We're just getting started, so please reach out to us. Please take a look on our site about the tools. Reach out to myself or others at NDIA, and we'd be happy to talk to you about these tools specifically, but how to tell your story through data and collective measurement of your ecosystem.
Thank you, Aaron. Okay, we're gonna move along for the sake of time. Aaron, thank you for joining us. Amy, how about what are we doing? Like, what are some things that the policy portfolio has done? You've done a lot this year, so tell us more.
Yeah. First, thanks for having me and letting me have an excuse to be all festive. I like bringing the festive this time of year and the joy. So we start off with, we have like 1 million templates and resources we developed this year. So the two that I'm gonna sort of point you to is one, we had a suite of tools that we developed around saving the Digital Equity Act. Now, well, we're still working to save the Digital Equity Act, right, on a different front, but those templates and tools and all the resources there are still really valuable and you can use and take and tailor to your needs. For instance, there are agendas in there for hosting a celebration, right? And which is a great thing to do this time of year, and templates for invitations that you can then send to your elected officials to come join your celebration so they can get to know you and your work, right? So that's evergreen. Please pick it up and use it. We'd love to see people use the templates that we've developed. We also created some templates around saving the BEAD non-deployment dollars. And Gigi just brought up that like a group of senators really did just reach out to Ariel Roth and Secretary Lutnick, pointing out the needs and why the BEAD non-deployment dollars are really important and should go to the states. And so please keep advocating for that. We think that this is a winnable fight and we need to continue to make noise. And so those templates are there for you to do that. And the last link that I'll point you to is, like many of our friends, we submitted comments to the bipartisan congressional working group this year around the Universal Service Fund. And I just wanted to point that out because we really wanted to socialize the idea that affordable broadband should be a big part of that. So back to Lindsay's comments earlier from Cade, this is coming at affordability at a different angle. Please go read that if you'd like, pick it up, use it, take it, and we can all advocate for that in 2026. back to Chris and Gina.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you for being with us today. Last up from the NDIA team, we have Christy. Christy, what did the Build the Field portfolio create this year?
So a couple of things I do want to share with you all. So good afternoon. So coming up in January, we have an opportunity for some training. So there's going to be an intro for AI for digital inclusion practitioners. It will be January 14th for 2 hours. There is a ticketing fee for that at $75 with a discount for those that are part of our Affiliate Plus community. So that's coming up. We also have some digital navigator training happening, which we do every other month. There is also a cost associated with that. That's $185, but you will definitely get the opportunity to spend 2 days with digital navigators across the country and one of our lead trainers, Nate Stone, to learn more about digital navigators, how you do it, some best practices, creating resource guides, all those kinds of things. We have a link in the chat that's coming your way with more information. And then in terms of digital navigator, we have kind of a 101 webinar, which is totally free. That's going to be happening in January as well, January 23rd. And then things that we created this year, 2025, that we're really proud of is we created an updated digital navigator program toolkit. It is hundreds of pages. We shared it at Net Inclusion 2025 in Gila River. There's a link coming your way for that. And there is 19 digital navigator stories from our National Digital Navigator Corps. There's a little compendium of those stories, which we're really, really excited and proud of. So check that out. We also worked with one of our advisors, David Keys, who had a very illustrious career at the city of Seattle on what we are calling Digital Inclusion Bites. And they're really insights and resources. It was a 3-part series. And there's lots of information there on professional development for digital inclusion practitioners, lots of resources, information on digital skills frameworks. There's even an individual household internet checkup tool that is there. And then the last thing really quickly is working cross team. So with Erin's team and my team, something called the AI and Digital Skills Brief with an instructional materials rubric. So it really brought together a working group of practitioners across the country to talk about how are they implementing AI skilling and their digital skilling training and resources. And there's a lot of best practice and guidance in that brief. So those are the big highlight things that we worked on this year, and I'm really excited to share them with you. And thanks for indulging me being off camera.
We understand technology. Thank you, Christy, and thank you to the NDIA directors for making special guest appearances. If you want any tool or resource created by NDIA, we have a special resource library. I think a link will go in the chat for directions on how to get there. So many tools and resources there that you guys may want to explore and discover and use. Chris, what about ILSR?
We haven't been doing much. So yeah, nothing.
Okay.
I definitely want to thank the folks that have made this show. But in terms of resources that we have, I guess I would just recommend people going to communitynetworks.org. We have a bunch of videos. We have we actually have something that we made with AARP, which is sort of bite-sized like PDFs that explain common issues with digital equity that we refer people to. And those are great, not necessarily for someone watching this show, but for you to hand out to the people you work with or your stakeholders that would like to learn more about this issue. But I think as we're wrapping up, I do want to thank my team. In the notes it says Gina was going to thank them, but I also wanted to thank them. So I'll do the first thanks. I'd like to thank the folks who put this together. Angelina and Jordan behind the scenes. Ryan, Sean also behind the scenes today for doing all the work over the past few weeks to bring this all together. On our side, Gina, go ahead.
I'd like to thank the ILSR team. I'd love to thank you, Chris, for being an amazing co-host. And I'd really love to thank NDIA, Angela, all of the directors, all of our team members for their support of B4DE this year and for all the work that they do. And for the people watching, we want to thank you too. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedules, for being here with us every quarter, for commenting, adding questions, listening in, sharing with others. We really appreciate you too. What I want to wish as the closing for myself is get some rest, relax, refresh, get ready for 2026 because We thought 2025 was a doozy.
Yeah, I think the hits are going to keep coming.
Yeah. So take some time to refresh during the wind down to this 2025.
Yes, be inspired. I think don't just grind it out. Be inspired. Be like Kyla, and take time to be artistic, to think, to be creative, and not just trying to figure out how to spend more time on the spreadsheet or the Microsoft Word. If anyone's still using that, you're probably all using something else now. But take care of yourself. I want to thank Utopia Fiber for sponsoring these series and the support that they've given us. I would like to note that I already spoiled the secret, if there was a secret, but we're going to be together doing a fun Building for Digital Equity episode in Chicago. I don't know that it'll be live streamed, but it will be available digitally later. In fact, it would be kind of surprising at this point if it's live streamed. But I want to thank Sean for adding on to his plate the work to get people coordinated around that, as well as others on my team who are doing that. We have a survey. Always love it when people take the survey. It helps to inform what we're going to do next in the next show. So raise your questions. Let us know what we can do better, what you really like, what we're doing, so we don't accidentally chop that out because I didn't like it or something like that. So check out the survey. And tomorrow at 3 Eastern, 2 Eastern, tomorrow at 2 Eastern, I want to say, is Connect This, where Doug Dawson, Kim McKinley, Travis Carter, and I, perhaps another special guest, will be going over the year from a perspective of more like internet service providers and infrastructure. And I get a little bit more ranty in that one. So I'm going to have a little caffeine before that one to amp it up a little bit. I want to thank everyone who came on the show. I want to thank Lindsay and all the folks at the California Alliance for Digital Equity out there doing that work, the folks at Digital Equity Los Angeles. I want to thank certainly Gigi, Wanda, and Angela for coming on to join us, as well as all of the folks at the National Digital Inclusion Alliance who have made this possible. So thank you all. We look forward to ending this year, and then look forward to making next year a better one.
See you at Net Inclusion, hopefully 2026, Chicago.
I'll be there after listening to 18 hours of podcasting at 3x on my 6-hour drive.
Chris. Okay. Peace, everyone.